We live in interesting times.
For the headlines.
More than 11,000 scientists warned Tuesday of untold suffering due to global warming, even as another team said Paris carbon-cutting pledges are too little too late.
President Robredo accepted the offer of President Duterte to be the co-chairperson of the Interagency Committee on Illegal Drugs, ICAD, saying she did this in her interest to try to save innocent lives in the government's drug war.
At least 15 people were gunned down in an ambush by suspected Muslim militants in Thailand's violence-racked south.
A firebrand pro-Beijing politician in Hong Kong was wounded in a knife attack on Wednesday.
We welcome our viewers here in the Philippines and around the world. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Cepeda.
Welcome to the program. I'm Ron Hamilton from your EBC Hawaii Bureau. Aloha.
And now to the news. More than 11,000 scientists warned Tuesday of untold suffering due to global warming, even as another team said Paris carbon-cutting pledges are too little too late. The European Union, meanwhile, confirmed that last month was the warmest October ever registered, fast on the heels of a record September and the hottest month ever in July. 3/4 of national commitments under the Paris Climate Accord to curb greenhouse gases will not even slow the accelerating pace of global warming, according to a report from 5 senior scientists. The sobering assessment came a day after President Donald Trump formally notified the United Nations of the U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 Paris Climate Pact, triggering concerns of how other nations might react.
I announced the withdrawal of the United States from the horrible, costly, one-sided Paris Climate Accord. Ask them how they're doing in Paris with it. Not too good.
U.S.'s official notification of its withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement had been announced and therefore was expected. Our determination to move forward on the implementation of the Paris Agreement remains unchanged. We continue to encourage member states to actively engage ahead of COP25 in Madrid to raise ambition to tackle and defeat climate change.
Climate expert David Wasco warns that the United States' formal withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accord is harmful to the country.
Was not a surprise. President Trump has been saying he was going to do this for more than 2 years, but it is still shocking to see the president take this step that really flies in the face of cooperation internationally with other countries on the climate crisis, and also is quite harmful to the United States. Well, I think it shows that President Trump is actually very much out of touch with what's happening in the United States. More than 3/4 of the public supports staying in the Paris Agreement. We have businesses and cities and states around the country that have said they're committed to the objectives of the Paris Agreement. They're taking action. We have we have 25 states now, part of the U.S. Climate Alliance, taking action.
The IPCC concluded last year that emissions of the gases warming Earth's surface must drop 50% by 2030 and to net zero with no additional carbon entering the atmosphere by mid-century, in the Paris Treaty's goal of capping warming at 1.5 to 2.0 degrees Celsius is to be met. And yet, 2018 saw unprecedented global carbon pollution of more than 41 billion tons, 2% higher than 2017, also a record year. Global temperatures have increased 1 degrees above pre-industrial levels, enough to boost the impact of deadly heat waves, floods, and superstorms and are on track to rise another 2 or 3 degrees by the end of the century. Failing to reduce emissions drastically and rapidly will result in an environmental and economic disaster, said James McCarty, a professor of oceanography at Harvard University and co-author of the analysis of voluntary Paris pledges to reduce carbon pollution.
Chinese leader Xi Jinping and French President Emmanuel Macron declared on Wednesday that the Paris Climate Pact is irreversible after the United States formally withdrew from the accord this week. Major powers expressed regret and concern after President Donald Trump went ahead with the pullout despite mounting evidence of the reality and impact of climate change. In a joint statement released after Xi and Macron held talks in Beijing, the two leaders reaffirmed their firm support for the Paris Accord, which they consider as an irreversible process and a compass for strong action on climate. Without directly naming the U.S. president, French President Macron said he deplores the choices made by others as he sat next to President Xi following the talks.
Over 100 Delhi residents protest against the air pollution that choked the Indian capital in recent days, asking their government to take action for their right to breathe.
The body, the eyes, the headache, we can't go to school, we can't meet our friends, we're trapped in the house. What kind of a life is this?
We're ruining our own future by doing this.
Yeah, that makes us very angry. Actually, the government is not taking any step on this. The government should totally ban the crackers. The government should do something about the air pollution, but the government is not taking any step. So that's why I'm angry. Yeah.
India's capital, New Delhi, was enveloped in heavy toxic smog Sunday, the worst levels in recent years, with hundreds of flights diverted or delayed as politicians blamed each other for failing to tackle the crisis. Every winter, the megacity of 20 million people is blanketed by a poisonous smog of car fumes, industrial emissions, and smoke from stubble burning at farms in neighboring states.
The Philippine government will now have a renewed and strengthened full approach on the drug war now that Vice President Leni Robredo has accepted the position as co-chair of the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, ICAD, as various government agencies vowed to fully support her. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo welcomed her to the cabinet. Vice President Robredo accepted the offer of President Duterte to be the co-chairperson of the Interagency Committee on Anti-Illegal Drugs, ICAD, saying she did this in the interest to try to save innocent lives in the government's drug war.
Maraming nagpahayag ng pangamba na hindi sincero ang alok. Na ito ay isang trap na ang habol lang ay siraan at pahiyain ako. Maraming nagpayo na dapat kong tanggihan ang alok dahil pagpasa lang ito sa akin ng responsibilidad para sa mga kabiguan ng drug war. Maraming nagsasabi na naghahanap lang ng damay ang administrasyong ito. Hindi naman ako nagpahayag ng aking mga puna sa drug war dahil naghahabol ako sa pwesto. Hindi ko hiniling ito. Sa Pangulo nang galing ang ideyang ito. Pero sa dulo, ang pinakamahalagang konsiderasyon para sa akin ay simple lang. Kung ito ang pagkakataon para matigil ang patayan ng mga inosente at mapanagot ang kailangang managot, papasanin ko ito. Kaya tinatanggap ko ang trabaho na binibigay sa akin ng Pangulo. Alam ng Pangulo kung ano ang posisyon ko sa drug war. Tutol ako sa pagpatay ng mga inosente. Kontra ako sa pang-aabuso ng mga opisyal. Alam niya ang aking mga puna. Alam niya ang mga bala kong ayusin. Kaya kung iniisip niya na sa pagpayag kong ito ay tatahimik ako, nagkakamali siya. Simula pa lang, handa tayong tumulong sa ikabubuti ng bayan.
We welcome the acceptance of the VP Leni of the offer of, as well as the appointment to her by the President as anti-illegal drug czar. As we said earlier, we welcome her return to the cabinet. And as I pointed out, this is her moment, and she should seize this opportunity because destiny awaits her and history beckons. So this is it. By her acceptance, it shows that she is much smarter than her colleagues in the opposition who do not want her to succeed. Welcome, Vice President Leni.
Secretary Pinello also said Vice President Robredo is now part of the cabinet of President Rodrigo Duterte and could attend all cabinet meetings, especially those related to the drug war. Pinello said that there is no need for an invitation for her to come into the cabinet meetings, but that if this is needed, the palace would formally issue an invitation for her to attend these meetings. PMP spokesperson Brigadier General Bernard Banak said that this was a very good development, as this would further strengthen the government's drug war.
A firebrand pro-Beijing politician in Hong Kong was wounded in a knife attack on Wednesday. A man holding a bouquet of flowers approached Junior's Hall on Wednesday morning as the politician was campaigning with party members in his constituency of Tuen Mun, a town on the outskirts of Hong Kong near the border with China. The man gave Ho the flowers, asked to take a picture, and then pulled a knife from his bag before striking his victim in the chest. Police said 3 people were wounded in the incident, including the attacker. A police source who declined to be named told AFP that Ho received a stab wound to the left side of his chest and the attacker was arrested. Ho, 57, was conscious when he got into the ambulance. On Sunday, a man with a knife attacked democracy protesters, including a local politician who had his ear bitten off. But the violence is far from one-sided. Crowds of pro-democracy protesters have also routinely beaten their ideological opponents, usually in spontaneous mob violence during rallies. On Saturday, a man was beaten unconscious and stripped naked in the district of Mong Kok. Some on social media were not convinced by the images and smelled conspiracy afoot, however, speculating that the attack was instead a staged hoax. But the skeptics offered no evidence to support such claims.
Serving sweet milk tea and French toast with fermented tofu, Kate Lee's traditional diner has become a sanctuary for Hong Kongers opposed to the youth-led democracy protest sweeping the city. Government supporters are known as blue ribbons because the color is associated with the police. Pro-democracy supporters are dubbed yellow ribbons. On a recent Saturday morning, the restaurant was packed with hungry patrons served by volunteers who have flocked to take orders and bus tables after Kate Lee spoke out in support of the city's police force. Lee, 51, said she did not follow politics closely, but she disagreed with the violent methods used by the more hardcore protesters.
我當時咁大嘅感覺係，我覺得點解警察咁辛苦去維係住我哋香港嘅法治？喺我心目中，我覺得守護香港係靠警隊。如果冇咗警察，香港會變成一個咩嘅城市、咩嘅社會？咁但咁多人去反佢，咁我認識嘅警察係善良、係正義，所以我就行咗出嚟。 好嘅。我都做過年青人，我曾幾何時都為自己爭取啲嘢啦，但係方法就好有問題啦。而家你係損害香港嘅社會，你係去破壞一啲嘢，你有冇諗過所有你破壞嘢係由咩人去建立翻嚟？係上一輩子嘅人流翻落嚟，係嘛？所以我覺得暴力嘅行為，點解我同你政見唔一樣，你可以去打人？呢啲我係完全接受唔到。
Beijing supporters have attacked opponents throughout the summer, often in targeted assaults against prominent government critics and opposition politicians. Crowds of pro-democracy protesters have also routinely beaten their ideological opponents, usually in spontaneous mob violence during rallies. Businesses are now often labeled as blue or yellow.
So this kind of shops will be attacked by some people. So we try to come to support all the shops that really care about Hong Kong and support police. And also because of the riot attack our MPR, so the MPRs are closed from time to time. So local citizens are very hesitant to come out to spend money or even to any restaurant or shops. So the spending of local people are dropping very rapidly.
Hong Kong has been rocked by protests sparked by a now withdrawn extradition bill since the end of March. The rallies later evolved into a wider movement against the government, marked by months of clashes between protesters and the authorities.
Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam tells reporters that Chinese President Xi Jinping has expressed concern over the violence in Hong Kong after months of protests in the semi-autonomous city. Mrs. Lam and President Xi held a meeting Monday in Shanghai where they are both attending a trade fair.
During a very short meeting with President Xi Jinping, he expressed care and concern about Hong Kong, especially given the social disturbances that we have seen in the last 5 months, and he expressed support for the various actions taken by the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government, and we will continue to do so in strict accordance with the principle of one country, two systems, upholding the rule of law, and trying to put an end to the violence that we have seen in the last few months. 跟住我想講講咧，因為我離開咗呢幾日咧，上個週末香港又係出現咗好多嘅暴力嘅示威嚇，亦都係有暴徒慣常用嗰種嘅極端嘅行為去破壞商店啊、縱火啊、攻擊警察嚇。我特別好傷心咧，就喺呢啲嘅衝突裏邊係有香港嘅市民受到嚴重嘅傷害嚇。
新華社報咧，亦都提到啦，即係有話公道信任咧，去
At least 15 people were gunned down by an ambush of suspected Muslim militants in Thailand's violence-racked south, an army spokesperson said on Wednesday, one of the bloodiest days in the 15-year insurgency. Southern Army spokesperson Paramote Pramin said that this is the largest death toll in years. Thailand's 3 southernmost provinces have been in the grip of a conflict that has killed more than 7,000 people as Malay Muslim militants fight for more autonomy from the Thai state. Despite the high death toll, the highly localized unrest garners few international headlines. The region is heavily controlled by the police and the military, with residents and rights groups accusing them of heavy-handed tactics. This changed late Tuesday when militants struck 2 checkpoints in Yala province, manned by civilian defense volunteers, opening fire on them as a group of villagers stopped to talk. Rebels seeking autonomy for the culturally distinct region bordering Malaysia have been fighting the Buddhist majority Thai state, which colonized the area over a century ago.
U.S. President Donald Trump and his Republican allies suffered stinging defeats Tuesday as Democrats were projected to win closely watched elections in 2 states, results that signaled troubling headwinds for his 2020 re-election campaign. The Republican Governor Matt Bevin in deep red Kentucky was ousted by his Democratic challenger Andy Beshear, who led by less than half a percentage point with 100% of the vote counted. The official overseeing the election declared,
"While this was a very hard-fought election, I know elections are difficult on families. So let's all wish this governor and his family the very best. We can do that." I stand here tonight grateful to the Commonwealth of Kentucky and its voters. Grateful. From now on, the doors of your state capitol will always be open. So while I want everybody to have a lot of fun tonight, after tonight, this election is over. After tonight, we move forward with every other Kentucky citizen as Team Kentucky.
This is a close race. We are not conceding this race by any stretch. Not a chance. And here's the thing, understand this though. Understand this, we want the process to be followed, and there is a process. We know for a fact that there have been more than a few irregularities. They are very well corroborated, and that's all right. What they are exactly, how many, which ones, and what effect, if any, they have, will be determined according to law.
There are signs impeachment is galvanizing Trump's base. Monday's New York Times Siena poll found that while Trump has flimsy backing nationwide, his core support remains solid in the key swing states like Michigan and Pennsylvania, where elections are actually won. Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, who is seeking re-election, has tied himself closely to President Trump. The Kentucky race is seen as a toss-up, while Mississippi's leans Republican, according to political analysis site 538.com.
UK opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn says in a speech about Brexit that his Labour Party will trust the people to decide on the matter by organising another vote, and accuses Prime Minister Boris Johnson of trying to hijack Brexit. Labour's new official stance is to negotiate a more EU-friendly withdrawal agreement with Brussels and then let voters decide whether to back it or simply stay in the EU.
Boris Johnson is trying to hijack Brexit to sell out our National Health Service and the working people of this country. He's trying to cash in on the votes of millions who voted to leave the EU by buying political power for himself and then sell them out with another dose of austerity in the future. Labour's plan for Brexit is clear and simple. It's time to take a decision out of the hands of politicians and trust the people to decide. It won't be a rerun of 2016. This time, the choice will be between leaving with a sensible deal or remaining in the EU. The Brexit crisis does need to be resolved, but it must be done democratically. Because walk down any street in Britain and you'll find people who voted to leave and people who voted to remain. Whatever our differences may be on this one issue, at the end of the day, we have so much else in common.
Choice is about the future of our country for generations to come.
Meanwhile, the anti-Brexit Liberal Democrats came in second in European Parliament polls in May that Britain was forced to take part in because of Brexit delays. Liberal Democrat leader Jo Swinson formally launched her party's campaign on Tuesday in London, with it currently running in third place with around 18% of the vote. But she firmly refuses to back Corbyn, the official leader of the opposition, and wants to become Prime Minister herself.
Certain I could do a better job. This choice is about the future of our country for generations to come. It is not about the red team or the blue team, because on this issue, a merge into one. Both Labour and the Conservatives want to negotiate and deliver Brexit. I never thought that I would stand here and say that I'm a candidate to be Prime Minister. But when I look at Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn, I am absolutely certain I could do a better job than either of them.
Thank you. You know, sometimes in life,
The Brexit party of populist Nigel Farage has 11% and will pile pressure on Johnson during the campaign from the anti-European right. Speaking at an event to unveil the Brexit party's election candidates, Nigel Farage says Boris Johnson's deal is not Brexit.
Jacob Rees-Mogg, who I like personally, said this morning the Brexit party should stand aside and leave it to the Conservatives. What kind of conceited arrogance is this that we're seeing from a party who, without the referendum party moving them in the 90s on the euro, without UKIP forcing them into giving a referendum, and without the Brexit party, will never deliver Brexit. And I say this to you, and I'll say it as I tour this country, there will be no Brexit without the Brexit party. What is more important than me being hunkered down in a constituency, fighting to get myself elected? What is more important than that, I think and I believe, and I hope you support me, is what I can do with and for all of you. I'm with you. I'm going to be out there supporting you. Let's fight this election. And here is the problem with the proposition that Boris Johnson is putting to the British people. It is not Brexit. It's not Brexit. It's a sellout.
Eagle News International will be right back. Stay tuned.
Tungkulin ng MTRCV ang
Rock Canyon, just minutes away from the Las Vegas Strip, and on behalf of EBC Las Vegas Bureau, we want to wish our beloved brother Eduardo V. Manalo a very happy birthday.
The trade war raging between the United States and China is harming both of the world's largest economies, according to a report of the UN Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD. A fresh report, the UN Conference on Trade and Development, examined the repercussions of bruising tariff hikes imposed by the world's two largest economies and found that both were left considerably worse off. That in turn risks taking a toll on the entire global economy.
U.S. consumers have been paying for a large part of the tariff in terms of higher prices, and we consumers here, I intend not only final consumers, people like us, but also importers of intermediate products. Well, they would be winning if Chinese were going to absorb all the cost, and we are not observing that. We are observing that China export prices has gone down in products which have been subject to tariff, but not as much as the tariff.
Not everyone is losing out, however. The report, which was based on an analysis of recently released trade statistics, found that of the $35 billion lost in Chinese exports to the U.S. market in the first half of the year, about $21 billion had been diverted to others like Taiwan, Mexico, and the European Union. The remaining $14 billion, it said, was either lost or captured by U.S. producers.
A lot of stays in the periphery of China, especially in the case of Taiwan, and also Japan and the Republic of Korea. Some goes to Vietnam, and but also we have that Mexico gains a lot, the European Union also some. We are talking about the two biggest economies in the world. So if this trade war is going to damage those two big economies in the world, that's a negative repercussion on the global economy. So, and if that is the case, even countries which actually are gaining in terms of export may not be gaining in net terms.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that China has agreed to resume imports of Canadian beef and pork, signaling a breakthrough in their tense relations. Good news for Canadian farmers today. Canadian pork and beef exports to China will resume, Prime Minister Trudeau said in a tweet. He lauded Canada's new ambassador to China, Dominic Barton, who was appointed in September, and the country's meat industry for working to reopen this important market for our meat producers and their families. China had blocked beef and pork shipments from Canada in June, alleging contamination in pork shipments and bogus documents. Claims disputed by Ottawa amid an escalating diplomatic row. In June, China had asked Canada to investigate where it said were veterinary health certificates attached to a batch of pork, while the official Xinhua news agency said customs officials in eastern city of Nanjing had found ractopamine in pork shipments. The forgery allegations, which federal police were called in to investigate after relations between the two nations were strained by Canada's arrest of a senior Chinese telecoms executive and China's detention of two Canadian nationals in apparent retaliation. Although no official link was made, the pork ban was seen as an escalation in response to Canada's arrest in December of Huawei Chief Financial Officer Meng Wanzhou on a U.S. extradition request related to alleged Iran sanctions violations.
Chinese phone giant Huawei said it was ready to roll out 5G infrastructure across Southeast Asia, dismissing U.S. warnings its tech could be used to hoover up data for Beijing. The firm has emerged as a key protagonist in the wider U.S.-China trade war that has seen tit-for-tat tariffs imposed on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods. President Donald Trump's administration has warned Huawei's equipment could allow China to spy on other countries and has effectively blocked American companies from selling U.S. technology to the firm. But the company has repeatedly denied the accusations, saying it is the victim of tech envy. Thailand and the Philippines have shrugged off the cybersecurity warnings in a rush to exploit the ultra-fast 5G network promised by China's biggest smartphone maker, while Vietnam has edged away from Huawei.
We are keeping a very good running record. There's no any cybersecurity issues for us. There's no any evidence from the US to say that. We predict that this year we can keep almost the same as last year. Even we are under such kind of a great pressure from the US government. In the 5G deployments, now we have more than 60 commercial contracts signed already. And also we have more than 400,000 piece of our AAU shipped globally already. And we are here to support the ASEAN, the development for the 5G. But very soon, many countries will have the plan and also will have the deployment, including in ASEAN countries. I can see there's many countries has released their plan, their strategy, and also for the license, and also to start the deployment very soon.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with more news right after this break.
From the EBC team of the locale of Gold Coast, Australia, we would like to greet Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Happy birthday, Paul!
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
Here's Ben Bernaldez for our sports news.
The Philippines will have the biggest delegation in the 30th Southeast Asian Games, which the country will host from November 30 to December 11 this year. The country will be represented by 1,115 athletes and 750 coaches and officials. Indonesia, the 2011 SEA Games overall champion, has the second biggest delegation with 1,702, including a big number of self-funded athletes and officials. To the surprise of many, Singapore entered the third biggest delegation with 1,591, followed by Thailand with 1,473, Malaysia with 1,076, followed by Myanmar with 952. Vietnam, the next host of the SEA Games in 2021, is ranked 7th in the terms of number of delegation with 890, as it did not field athletes in most team events except in football, volleyball, and men's basketball. Cambodia, the host of the 2023 SEA Games, fielded 510, followed by Laos with 419, Brunei with 257, and Timor-Leste with 221. The Philippine SEA Games Organizing Committee FISGOC officials said that number of entries may still go down depending on the delegation registration meeting on November 19. A total of 530 gold medals will be at stake in 56 sports in the 38th edition in the Biennial Meet, which the Philippines will host for the fourth time. It hosted the event in 1981, 1991, and 2005. The Philippines is hoping to land in the top 3 among the 11 participating members of the SEA Games. Philippine Sports Commission PSC Chairman William Butch Ramirez, who is also the chief of the mission of the Philippine delegation, believes that the Team Philippines will perform well in the 30th Biennial Games. Based on the assessment and medal projection made by the National Sports Association officials, Ramirez said that Team Philippines is capable of winning 90 to 100 gold medals. Ramirez said the PSC board has approved all needed funds for the exposure and training of all the national athletes to prepare them well for the Biennial Games. In the NBA, LeBron James scored 30 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and passed off 11 assists on Tuesday, leading the Los Angeles Lakers to a 118-112 comeback NBA victory at Chicago with his third consecutive triple-double. Anthony Davis produced a season-low 15 points on 6 of 15 shooting with 7 rebounds in a return to his hometown, but James surged in the final minutes as the Lakers unleashed a 29-4 fourth-quarter run. It was only the third time in James' career that he has produced 3 consecutive triple-double after 2009 and 2017. The Lakers improved an NBA best 6-1 with a third straight road win, having won 6 in a row since losing their opener to the Los Angeles Clippers. The Lakers returned home for a Friday game against Miami, which fell to 5-2 with a 109-89 loss at Denver. The Lakers, the NBA's top defensive club, captured their 6th straight meeting with Chicago, matching the club's longest active run against any rival. The Bulls paced by Zach LaVine's 26 points, led by 65-48 at halftime, and were up by as much as 19 in the first half and 18 in the third quarter before the fight back began. The Lakers trimmed the deficit to 93-80 after 3 quarters, then began the fourth with a 16-0 run sparked by reserves, with Quinn Cook's three-pointer for a 94-93 lead, putting the Lakers back on top for the first time since the middle of the first quarter. The Lakers outscored Chicago 38-19 in the fourth quarter and look like the dominant team James hoped can reach the NBA Finals. They will face another test Friday against Miami team that has blown out at Denver. Jamal Murray scored 21 points and leads 6 Nuggets in double figures, while Jimmy Butler led Miami with 16 points. And these are the stories for EN Sports. I'm Ben Bernaldez and I am 1 with 25.
INC members in Spain and Portugal got together to celebrate Choir Day plus Unity Games. Julianne Ala reports from Madrid.
The members of the Church of Christ from Spain and Portugal were gathered in the Spanish capital in Madrid to celebrate the Choir Day and the Unity Games Spain edition.
We had our choir day here in the district of Spain, so that the brethren here in our district will be able to understand how important it is to have the duty inside the Church of Christ, especially having the choir members gathered together singing praises to our Almighty God, so that they may be able to receive the words of our Almighty God and to remind them how important it is to perform their duty, even if they have so many things in this life. We have our Unity Games as well here in our district. I love the brethren around the district of Spain are gathered here in Madrid to unite with the Unity Games and to show their talent. These are not to compete one another, but to show their unity to the church administration, that this Unity Game or Unity Games is for the faith, or to strengthen the faith of the brethren here in the District of Spain.
For this event to be successful, we had prepared ourselves by devotional prayers for 1 week, and as a volleyball player, we had our practices, especially every Sunday, and for my self-preparation, I slept early to maintain my physical fitness.
You can see in the activities the happiness, unity, brotherhood, and above all, the love between the brethren. This is the main objective of the activities inside the Church of Christ. Reporting from Madrid, Spain, I am Julian Ala and I am 1 with 25.
Another Unity Games was held in the Gold Coast of Australia. We have a report coming in from Brisbane. Here's Andrea Colleen Brihulia with the story.
Today marks another milestone for the members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, a Church of Christ in Eastern Australia. For the very first time, their district Unity Games are being held right now here in the beautiful city of Gold Coast. Participated by hundreds of church members all over the Australian Capital Territory, New South Wales and Queensland, they are all gathered together in such an enormous event. The Iglesia Ni Cristo, or Church of Christ, continues to strengthen their members through promoting different activities such as sports and friendly competition. The church members in Eastern Australia travelled all the way up to Gold Coast, Queensland to show their unity through sports and camaraderie.
Now, Unity Games is like an activity with regards to sports. But if you can notice, Unity Games, the important thing about conducting such event like this is the unity of the brethren in the Church of Christ. We are currently having friendly competition in different sports, like in ball games, volleyball, basketball, enhance the brotherhood in the Church of Christ, to strengthen the bond between members of the Church of Christ in order for us to know more who are we, who is that brother, so that members will be able to know each other. Members of the Church of Christ, rather than going to a vacation on their own, they chose to participate in an activity done inside the church, in which they have devoted themselves. If we are to know, because the registered members of the church who are to participate in particularly here in Australia East, we have at least 1,000, and 400 of it came from Metro Sydney. It's really surprising, and the energy since this morning, even yesterday, it's really surprising. It's overwhelming, knowing that all are happy, glad, seeing them with their family. It's like we are far each other, but when we meet here, it's like one whole family gathering each other. It's really overwhelming.
So this event is a gathering of all of the different regions around Queensland and New South Wales, and even some from the ACT in Canberra, and it is championship in basketball and volleyball. This is actually the second day. The first day was bowling, and today is basketball and volleyball. Well, the turnout for this event has been really great. We had a survey before it started, and I think that survey has been exceeded, and you can tell from the beginning of the parade to start off the opening ceremonies that it was full of full of people that joined, and you can see them in their different colors depending on where they came from, whether North Queensland or South Queensland or the western region of New South Wales or the eastern region. So it was really good to see, and I think it was really delayed in a lot of starting because everyone was just so happy to see each other, and even if they didn't know them, they were just happy to see where they came from and introduce themselves. So it was really, the turnout has been more than we could have expected. We would like to thank the church administration of the Church of Christ, and especially the executive minister, Brother Eduardo Manalo, who's so supportive of these kinds of activities, and who wants so much that we would continue to strengthen the bonds of brotherhood between us. That's probably one of the concerns, and when the brethren are happy, it kind of has a domino effect to the other activities we have in the church, like sharing our faith. And so, the quality of our life, it's really good that to see everyone so happy, and we want to thank him that, even though we don't see our executive minister, he's far away from us, we hear his guidance, his reminders to us, and so we feel we're really taken care of, and we want the brethren to also feel that they're taken care of, and that even though we haven't seen him in a long time, that we're in his thoughts as well as he's in our thoughts, and we just want to thank him that he allowed us to have this kind of activity.
Sports has always been a major force in promoting health, fitness, teamwork, sportsmanship, and self-motivation. Today's event manifests the continuous belief of the church leadership in the importance of promoting sports to even more strengthen the spirit of brotherhood among their members.
It's been pretty good, seeing a lot of people sharing the fun with the brethren.
I really enjoy the Unity Games. It's a great way to meet people from other locale, as well as to strengthen the bond between members of your own locale and other locales near you. And the preparation leading up to the Unity Games as well is very inspirational.
So basically, here at the Unity Games, the vibe's amazing. You know, love of the brotherhood everywhere. You know, you get a hard foul, but it's all right. The brothers from the other team are the ones who will pick you up. But yeah, everyone's cheering for everyone. It's really good because you know, you can really feel that love for the brotherhood. Everyone's sharing, everyone's playing their heart out, and then everything's left on the floor. After that, everyone's brothers and sisters again.
A large number of church members are here to witness the friendly games and cheer for their respective teams.
Oh, it's been pretty good. It's such a good day right now. We won, which is really nice, but it's all about the brotherhood. So everyone's in a really good mood, and I think the friendship is really good right now, and we're meeting new people. It's always good that time. Yeah.
The day has been great. As you can see, that's our volleyball team for the women's, and we're on our third set. It's been great. The performances this morning were lovely. We enjoyed the singers and the dancers performing, and lovely food outside as well. And nice to be united with all the brethren from the other locales, those that we haven't seen for a while. It's been great, and thank you, Kaka Eduardo, for this beautiful day, and congratulations to Australia East.
Overall, the two-day sports event of the Church of Christ has been successful, as shown in the strong participation and massive support of their church members and event organizers.
Once again, we witness the unity of the members of the Church of Christ, not only in their religious works, but also through sports and fellowship. Reporting for Eagle News International, this is Colleen Berrega, and I am on with 25.
In Florida, the Spiff Folk Fair event highlights world cultures with food, fashion, and a lot more. Eagle News correspondent Abby Aragon takes us to the fair. Watch this.
With Florida being the tip of the United States, it contains a mixture of many different ethnicities. About 47% of Floridians are made up of different nationalities. The St. Petersburg International Folk Fair Festival shows off those different cultures in efforts to show Floridians, especially in the Tampa Bay area, how important it is to embrace our differences.
The festival has people from many different countries, all glad to share their food and culture. It showcased the diversity that exists in the world, which most of the festival goers agreed is important. Some people, like the vendors from the Hamong tent, have been going to the festival for years and enjoy coming back. This is what they had to say about the display of different cultures.
Yeah, I think it's important because being exposed to different types of ethnicities, I think that really shows appreciation for the different types of people that we have here in the United States. And then it also broadens our perspective on understanding how people are, to empathizing with them, and then also just having a better clarity on how to treat others when you appreciate their culture.
Definitely, because in Florida, especially here at SMP, we have a lot of ethnic, like Asian to Africa to Middle East, and we have a lot of nations that come here and set up a vendor, and they show their clothing, traditional food, to their language. So it is really good for education for the kids.
Representatives of the festival, like Ellie Anderson, also believe that showing diversity can broaden people's views of the world and make them realize that there's much more than what you see every day.
I think it's really important to see different cultures in your hometown because you might not be as exposed to them when they're not all in one place, and you might not go and seek them out on their own or on your own. So SPIFS really gives you the opportunity to have all of it at the same time. I think it's important to learn the values of other cultures and try to incorporate them into your own lives.
Well, I hope you learned as much about these different ethnicities as I did. Signing off from St. Petersburg, I'm Abby Aragon, and I'm always 1 with 25.
Thanks, guys. That's all we have for tonight. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. Also, check out our boards in Pinterest and pictures on Instagram. I'm Sam Cepeda. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Ron Hamilton from BBC Hawaii Bureau. Aloha.
And we're 1 with 25.